if you go back in history and you look at that tremendous wave of change called the Industrial Revolution, when many of the great fortunes of the modern world were first created. And that began in England partly because of a perception that they were running out of trees. Seriously. And so they started figuring out ways to use coal in large quantities, and the scientific and technological revolution that had begun to pick up speed brought the steam engine and then all the things that have followed. Well, now the world is poised and just now beginning to make another historic shift, bigger than the Industrial Revolution. And they weren't really running out of trees back then, but they had crossed the tipping point, and we're not really out of oil now, but we are either at or near what they call the peak. And people argue about whether it's this year or last year or 10 years from now. But after it peaks, there's as much left as we started, as has already been produced. But when it's on the way down, it's very different from when it's on the way up. Because once it peaks and it starts going down, then the price is constantly under pressure. In slower economic times, it'll come back down, but it comes back down to a higher plateau. And then when things start moving up again, then it goes way up. And the demand for carbon-based fuels is now much larger because of China, and India, and Indonesia, and Brazil, and all of the developing countries that are coming on so strong now. 53% this year of the CO2 emissions were from developing countries. And so that demand for carbon-based fuel is going to continue to grow, even as the supply does not grow the way it did in the past. And so the price pressure is there. So planning for the future means positioning the places where we live, and in your case, this great state of Washington, to be leaders in the revolution that is now unfolding before us. And we're now seeing wind energy and solar energy and advanced geothermal energy with probably the best company in the whole world, headquartered right here, with the advanced forms of cellulosic ethanol and the other new advances that are coming along. You are seeing your state positioned to be a leader in this revolution. And by the way, when policies around the world begin to change, this shift toward renewable energy is going to pick up steam. Steam's probably the wrong word to use. Well, actually, with solar energy, the advanced solar thermal energy, don't want to get into that detail. It's going to pick up speed. And all around the world, in Europe and Asia and South America, we are seeing now investments made, policies put in place, limitations negotiated. Just in December of this year, be a big international negotiation in Poland, and 1 year from December, there will be the Copenhagen negotiation that's supposed to replace the Kyoto Treaty. So we're not running out of oil, but I'll remind you that the oil minister of Saudi Arabia told his fellow OPEC ministers something that we ought to overhear and listen and take into account. He said, remember, he was talking to the group, he said, remember, the Stone Age didn't end because of a shortage of stones. And the oil age isn't going to end because we run out of oil. The oil and coal age will end when we come to our senses and make the investments necessary to transform our energy infrastructure from one that depends on expensive, dirty, dangerous, carbon fuels that are rising in price, and build a new energy infrastructure that runs on fuel that's free forever, the sun and the wind. Where's that come from? Sand. There's no shortage of sand. Why are they expensive then? Because there has been a shortage of fabricating plants to turn the sand into the silicon from which the solar panels are made. When the demand goes up, and you have countries around the world making this shift over to renewable energy, more fabricating plants are built, and the price comes down. That's already happening dramatically. Last year, this year, projected next year. So think about this difference. When the demand for coal and oil goes up, the price skyrockets. When the demand for solar and wind goes up, the price comes down. I believe I like those economics better than the oil